For centuries, being able to identify medicinal plants has been this incredible skill, right? Part art, part science, but it's always been really, really tough. Today, we're going to dive into how modern AI is being trained to solve this ancient problem, and honestly, the results are staggering. Let's get into it.
Okay, so first things first, let's set the stage. This is not just about putting a name to a pretty flower. Correctly identifying medicinal plants is absolutely crucial for everything from traditional medicine to cutting-edge research. I mean, getting it right could save a life. Getting it wrong can be incredibly dangerous. So the stakes are super high.
So picture this. You're out in a forest, you see a plant, and it looks kind of familiar. But is it that powerful remedy you've heard about, or is it its toxic twin? This is the exact high-stakes question that herbalists and scientists have to ask themselves every single day.
Well, the old-school way to get an answer relies on human experts with years and years of specialized training. But here's the catch. That method is slow. It takes forever, and even the best experts are still human, which means mistakes can happen and the results aren't always consistent. It became pretty clear that we needed a new way forward. And that brings us to the really big, exciting idea behind all this research. What if you could take all of that human expertise and just teach it to a computer? What if an AI could learn to see plants with the skill of a master botanist, but do it with the kind of speed and scale that only a machine can pull off? So how in the world do you teach a computer to see? Well, these researchers put together a super detailed training plan. The mission? Teach an AI model how to recognize 40 different medicinal plants just from a photograph. It's a huge task, but they had a solid game plan.
In this right here, this is basically their entire playbook at a glance. I know, the flowchart might look a little intense, but it really just maps out the whole journey, from taking a simple photo of a plant to getting a final confident ID. It's got the whole shebang, gathering data, prepping it, training the AI, and testing it. So let's break it down.
It really all boils down to 3 key steps. First, they collected a massive amount of images for all 40 plants. Step 2, they got all those images ready, making sure they were standardized to the exact same size. And step 3, this is the smart part, they split the data. 80% was used for school to teach the AI, and the other 20%, they kept that secret, saving it for the final exam.
Now, the researchers didn't just bet on one approach. Nope. They set up a contest, a real showdown between 3 different kinds of AI models. They wanted to see which one was going to come out on top as the champion of plant identification.
First up in the ring, we've got the classic powerhouse, the CNN, or convolutional neural network. This thing is an absolute beast at processing images. It basically learns in layers, starting with simple things like edges and textures, and then building up its understanding to recognize complex shapes, like a very specific kind of leaf. Our second contender is MobileNet. Now, if the CNN is that big, powerful muscle car, think of MobileNet as the zippy, efficient pocket rocket. It's a lightweight version of a CNN built for speed, so it can run really well on things like your smartphone without totally draining your battery. And finally, we have the clever all-arounder, a hybrid model. This was a really innovative idea. It uses the speedy MobileNet to do the initial image analysis, and then it passes those findings to another type of AI, an RNN, which is fantastic at spotting deeper patterns in context. It's a real best-of-both-worlds approach.
Okay, so the stage is set. We have our 3 contenders, the powerhouse CNN, the pocket rocket MobileNet, and the clever hybrid. It was time for that final exam, using that 20% of data they'd kept hidden. The showdown was on.
And here we go, the results are in. The classic CNN did pretty well, hitting 80% accuracy. MobileNet was even better, coming in at an impressive 91%. But the clear winner was the hybrid model, correctly identifying the plants with a stunning 93% accuracy. I mean, that is a fantastic result. The researchers' own conclusion really says it all. That combination of MobileNet's speed and the RNN's deep pattern spotting ability was the winning ticket, hitting an exact accuracy of 92.94%. It just proves that sometimes combining different AI approaches can create something way more powerful. Let's actually look at the AI's report cards. These charts are called confusion matrices. All you need to know is that a perfect score would be one clean, bright line right down the middle. That means every guess was correct. On the left, you can see the CNN scorecard. It's got a few smudges, some errors off that main line. But now, look at the hybrid model on the right. Wow, so much cleaner, showing way fewer mistakes. That's what 93% accuracy looks like.
So 93% is an awesome score, but what does it actually mean for the real world? Why does this matter? Well, this is where things get really exciting. This is all about the impact of putting an expert AI botanist into everyone's hands.
At its core, this is all about empowerment. This tech gives researchers, herbalists, students, pretty much anyone, a tool that is fast, super reliable, and you can access it anywhere you can take a phone. Just imagine a scientist in the field instantly identifying a rare plant. It totally breaks down the old barriers to this kind of specialized knowledge.
And believe it or not, this is just the beginning. The next frontier is all about making these models even better. We're talking about using more advanced AI, training them on even bigger, more diverse data sets from all over the world, and making them so efficient they run instantly on any device. The goal is a truly global, real-time plant expert. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. For thousands of years, this deep knowledge of medicinal plants was held by a pretty small group of people. Now, that expertise is on the verge of being available to everyone, everywhere. So the question isn't really if we can do it anymore. The real question is, what are we going to discover? What new medicines and new scientific breakthroughs are just waiting for us now that everyone can